Good morning. Wednesday, halfway through the week. Um, yeah, I thought it was Thursday today for some reason, but it's still Wednesday, so isn't it? Yeah, it is. Okay. Um, this has been a confusing week for me, but here we are. Um, so I'm waiting for my thunderstorm. We're supposed to have a thunderstorm according to the weather. Um, I mean, that would be kind of crazy, but anything's possible. So we'll see what happens. I think it will be after class sometime, maybe more around noon. So yeah, watch out for that. I think it's going to get cold. So if you've got plants out, you might need to cover them or bring them in. It's supposed to be like down in the 30s, which I don't know if it's going to really freeze, but um, I know I've got some ferns that I'm going to have to bring in because, you know, but I'd like to say this is going to be the last day. I think it might be the last day of that, looking at the weather. We'll see. But yeah, heads up for your plants. I was thinking today of the plant place over by Garfield Park um, that I used to go to. And I may make a trip over there this week, see what they have. I still have the lemon tree that I got there, and it's doing okay. It hasn't grown a whole lot, but it's still it's still alive. It winters in my garage, and I don't think it loves it there, but it does okay. It's still got plenty of leaves, and um, it puts I think I get maybe 3 or 4 lemons a year, which is pretty good for a small tree, I guess. But yeah, I'd like to see what I can do to make that a bigger tree. They have an enormous tree there that they take the cuttings from. And I like to go and see it, see how it's doing every year. Um, okay, so let's talk a little bit about spring, changing seasons. Um, I think we probably touched on this, but let's do it again. Spring in Ayurveda, traditional, Indian. It's medicine, but it's more than medicine. It's just kind of a lifestyle type of thing. So it's a lot about what you eat and how you take care of yourself. Um, and that's one of the things I really like. And I think most traditional medicines are like this. It starts with the basics, right? Instead of you know uh, giving you a pill, they start with, well, what can you do with your, you know, what's going on with your sleep, with your stress level, with your diet, all of these things. Let's try that first, right? Before you do anything else. Um, your problem could just be those things, right? And those things are, you know, right? Hard to change, but having so much less impact on yourself, right? There are no side effects to getting a good night's sleep. um, you're not going to get addicted to healthy food. Well, if you do, that's great. But there's no damage done to you by trying um, to eat better with the seasons, to try to, getting sleep and doing things appropriate to your nature. But the thing is, they're harder to do, right? It's much easier to take a pill every day than it is to change, to give up, candy if that's your, if that's something that you love, but is so detrimental to your health. In Ayurveda, we say that a lot of times the things that we crave in a terrible way, right? And I think we all kind of know what that means. We all have these things that we eat, but we suffer for them, right? They make us feel bad, but still we go back again and again. I have a friend who had a lot of trouble with heartburn and indigestion. But she loved spicy foods, and she couldn't stop eating them, even though she suffered greatly. Every time she did, she just kept going back again for more. And a friend of my father's who was a diabetic, and you know, would he loved candy, and he couldn't just eat like one piece of candy. He had to eat a pile of candy. So he would actually take extra insulin so he could have a big candy binge. Horrible idea, right? But yet, the lengths that we are willing to go to try to um, deal with the consequences, right, of our actions, um, can be kind of amazing, right? So if we have, if you have things like that, if you have types of food that don't agree with you, if you have, if you tend to binge on certain types of foods, right? You eat way too much of something. You might want to look at that. You might want to say, what about this, right? What is driving this, and what could I do instead, right? What other, um, and in Ayurveda, the idea is moderation in everything, and finding um, better choices, right? So it's not so much about giving something up as what could you have instead, right? If you have a real sweet tooth, could you find fruit that would fill that need? Um, Fruit is, I mean, right? Super healthy in its natural form, fresh or dried, as long as there's no added sugar or anything. The fiber, everything in there makes fruit such a good choice, right? Um, there is a lot of sugar, but it's going to digest slower because of the fiber in there. Um, you're not going to go wrong with fruit. Um, so, could you do that, right? If spicy food is your nemesis, right? You love it, but it doesn't love you, right? What could you do? Could you have less of it? Could you try a different form of it? Some people find that different types of spice, right, aren't so bad. So maybe a horseradish as opposed to like a cayenne pepper, you may tolerate that better. So it's all about finding what works for your body, and both, your physical body and your mental body, right? Because um, we, and I think a lot of times people who want to change their diet, want to eat more healthy, they think it's about giving up all of these things that they love, that they've enjoyed. Um, and it's not, right? It's about finding things that will give you that same sense of satisfaction, but not at the detriment to your body, right? Um, so if you always, have dessert every night, and what could that be instead? Could it be fruit? Could it be, don't just give it up, because then you're going to feel deprived, right? Um, could you have less, right? People who are lactose intolerant, right? This is a rough one because there's so many things with dairy in it. Um, Even people who aren't lactose intolerant, honestly, dairy is hard to digest for a lot of people. And I find the older I get, the less I'm able to digest. And I love cheese, right? Cheese is delicious. So could you eat less? Just less, just a little bit. Would that be enough? Um, Experiment with that. See what you could try that would make you feel better, because that's really the goal, right? Food is pleasure, right? We love it. We get a lot of enjoyment out of it. We cook for our friends and family, and that's a real gift of love, right? Making sure that everyone has food that they eat that they enjoy. Um, but again, we want to put it in its proper place, right? And as a culture, um, we are very food centered. Um, Not always good food, not always healthy food, right? But food is everywhere. You see it everywhere. There's, not so much anymore, right? Everyone's working at home where there's plenty of food, but even like in the workplace, people would constantly be bringing in food, different things like that. So you're constantly surrounded by it. It's not always good choices. Finding a way to navigate that can be difficult. Um, but just like everything else, right? We're trying to moderate our behavior, um, and we're trying to moderate all of the things, so that we are able to do the things that we need to do. Um, One of the really important things about Ayurveda is this idea that if you don't have health, you don't really have anything, right? This body is what gets us through our life. Um, it's hard to meditate, it's hard to focus on the divine and the spiritual when you are in suffering, when you are in pain, when physically your body is not doing well. So take care of the body, right? We always highlight the physical or the spiritual so much in yoga because it is, right? That's the important part of what goes on. The body is not with us forever. It's only temporary, right? But it's very important while we have it. And it can be such a distraction if you're having trouble, right? There's so much um, time and effort that we put into trying to fix the things, right? So let's try to back that up, right? Going along with um, so Ayurvedically speaking, spring is a time of cleansing, and we are waking up, right, from that hibernation of winter. Lighter foods, um, bitter, maybe sharp tasting things, um, like little baby greens, things like arugula, like a little arugula salad or something like that. These are the things that help kind of clean the body out. Um, Maybe skipping a meal now and then, right? Um, I'm going to touch briefly on this because I want to get to some asana, right? Because it's good for your body to move. But um, eating a lot is a, is not Ayurvedically sound. Eating small meals and eating at meals, right? No snacking. Ayurveda, Ayurveda says no snacking, right? Um, Eating all the time is a real tax on the digestive system. And the digestive system is a very big part of the body. When there's food in the body, that's what the body is doing. It's digesting the food. So if there's constantly food in the body, your body never has a chance to do anything else, all of the other housekeeping that it does. Now, it does get to that at night, right, when you're sleeping, but a lot of times people eat a good deal before they go to bed. And then again, the body's trying to digest all of those precious hours when we are supposed to be cleaning out the body. And I just read something. My husband sent me a thing, an article about, how people that sleep less than 6 hours, they say in middle age, have more likelihood of developing Alzheimer's, dementia, that type of thing. And it makes sense because they know that one of the things that happens when we sleep is our brain is being kind of cleaned, and reset and worked out for the next day. If you don't give itself, so let's say you're cutting it close, maybe you only go to bed, you're going to get 5 hours of sleep, and then 2 hours, that, or an hour at least, is digesting the snack that you had before bed. How do you have time to do all the other things that you're supposed to do? So eat meals, no snacks. If you can avoid it, if you have to have a snack, make it tiny, make it good for you. Your digestion will thank you for that. And if you have regular digestion, good for you, right? But I've noticed that the older I get, the more erratic my digestion gets. So being on a schedule of eating 3 meals a day, maybe 2 meals a day, right? A lot of people, especially as they get older, need less food. And 2 meals a day can really be enough. You have to experiment with it and see. But my dad used to eat lunch and dinner, and I know a lot of older people, my grandmother as well, that was kind of what they did. They had coffee in the morning and then didn't really eat till lunch. Not everybody is that going to work for. Some people have their blood sugar is kind of variable. They're not set up for that. In Ayurvedic terms, you've got, these 3, kapha, pitta, vata, right? These are the different sort of body types. We often are a blend of them. But people who are kaphic have more mass, more, they're usually larger, they're bigger structure. They do well on 2 meals a day. People who are very, very thin, very small, very high, highly wound, nervous, kind of very high vata, maybe not so well, right? They may have trouble with that. And then 3 meals a day might be more appropriate. But again, trying to be moderate with this stuff. We tend to veer, I think, from one extreme to the other, in terms of food. We're either eating way too much, think about Thanksgiving and things like that, or we are feeling bad about that, so then we're eating way too little, right? We're eliminating all of the things that we enjoy and punishing ourselves, right, for the food that we ate that was so delicious. Neither is sustainable. So we have to figure out what will be sustainable and try to work within your your frame, right? And we can all figure this out. If you're not sure, if you're having trouble figuring this out, if you're not sure what you want to do, send me an email. We can talk a little bit about this. I did some Ayurvedic training, and I have some ideas and I have some tips I can give you. But the thing about Ayurveda is it's all in the practice. You can learn all these things, you can know all these things, but if you're not putting them into practice, they're just theory, right? They're not going to help you. The knowledge might help you if it encourages you to move in that direction, but just like yoga, the proof is in the practice of it. But it's a place to start, and the same thing with yoga, right? It's a framework for you, which can be helpful because a lot of times we don't know, right? We don't know where to start. There's too many choices, too much information out there. Not really. Information is a good thing. I don't think it's too much, but I think it can be overwhelming, right? We don't know which thing to start with. And so we start with something and then it doesn't work or we don't like it. And then we bounce around and we're not sure. So, but Ayurveda has, thousands of years of success behind it. And it's pretty solid stuff. So, all right. So let's move a little bit. Sitting up tall. Take your deep breath. And then we're just going to bring the chin down toward the chest. Let the head hang. And then lift it up. Keep lifting. Head drops back. And then back to center. Take a breath. Head moves to the right. Back up and then head moves left. Back up to center. Let's walk the hands out in front. And then hands behind, fingers point away from the body. Squeeze the shoulders back. Gaze up. And then back up to your seat. Let's lift the shoulders, roll back. And forward. Left hand on right knee, right arm behind. Sit up tall. Take a deep breath and twist. Back to center. Switch sides. Back up. Let's bring the hands up overhead. And then right arm down. Reach across. And then switch sides. Back up. Tabletop. Sitting back on the heels. Coming back up. Let's move through a few sets of cat-cow. Lowering the belly as you lift the head for your inhale, exhaling, drawing the belly in, press down with the palms. Flip the toes and let's come up to downward dog. We're in tabletop. And then walk the feet up to the hands. Lean a fold. Rising slowly. Stand tall. Breath in and breath out. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lifting to a flat back, and then fold forward. Inhale, lift. Back to mountain. Take a breath. Inhale, lift. Fold on the exhale. Inhale, flat back. Fold. Lifting. Arms overhead. And then back down by your side. Breath in. Breath out. Inhale, lift. Fold on the exhale. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift. Hands back, down by your side. Breath in and breath out. Let's do a couple balance. Tree. So we're standing on the left. Bring that right foot in. You could do, pardon me, kickstand here, right? And then just experiment with lifting up the toe. You can always set it back down if you feel unstable. Whatever works. I don't feel very stable today. Nice and upright. Shoulders back. Relaxed. Breathe. If you feel steady, you might extend the arms. But if you aren't feeling real steady, might be a better idea to keep them down at the center. And if you step out, then just come on back in. Don't worry about it. and then set the foot back down. Let's switch sides. So we're standing on the right, same thing. Whatever you do on one side, let's try to do on the other. And breathe. So if you have one side where you really can't get balanced, right, and you're really struggling, maybe the kickstand, we do that on both until we feel more stable on that side that is, I want to say, not as strong, right? Because balance is a lot about strength. It certainly is other things as well, but if you don't have the strength in the legs and in the core, you're going to have a hard time keeping your balance. It's a lot when you're shifting your whole body weight onto one foot, one side. Your tendency is to not be able to control that. So anything you can do in terms of strength building, the legs, the lower body, the core is going to really improve your balance. So, and I'm going to tell you, right, easiest way to do that is just walking. Just walk a lot. You can't, well, I mean, I'm not going to say you can't hurt yourself walking. I'm sure you can. You could get a terrible blister if you're not wearing a good shoe, but and you could twist. I mean, I scraped my knee up walking. I mean, you certainly can, but there are not a lot of walking related injuries. Unlike running, unlike a lot of other things, walking is what we are really designed to do, and you don't need any special equipment. Just shoes that are comfortable, right? You don't have to be fancy walking shoes, just something that is comfortable and that you feel good in. And just add a little bit, right? Do a little bit more every day. It's a really simple and straightforward. And people, again, because it's so simple, people tend to discount it. They think it's not important or it's not really going to do anything. But believe me, it will. Just try. I mean, you've been walking your whole life. Just try more, though, and in a real effort to extend that. Okay, let's do little foot exercises. We haven't done those in a while, so we're gonna have the feet, a little ways apart, not right close, but, maybe about hip width apart. And then we're going to come up on to the balls of the feet. If you can. If that's too high, you don't feel stable, then maybe just lift up the heels, right? But we want to get the back part of the foot up one way or another. And again, if you need to set back down, go ahead. You don't have to stay up here the whole time. If your feet are not very flexible, this can feel hard. But if your feet aren't flexible, this is a really good balance practice for you. You could do it anytime, right? It's harder to do in shoes because the soles of the shoes aren't usually as flexible as we need them to be to do this. So if you can do it in bare feet or something like that is probably the best. Right? And you can do this until your feet feel tired. You'd sit down and come back up. You could do it for a long time. And then your feet feel tired, and then you set it back down. You go, okay. And then maybe do some more, or do it later in the day. It takes time to work through. What happens, right, if we're not using these things, is we get adhesions, which are just exactly what they sound like, right? They're places that the muscles and things are stuck together. from inactivity. And if you think about it, our body is uniquely efficient, right? The body's always looking for things to shut down. I'm thinking of, I grew up in a very large house, and my parents were always shutting down various bathrooms and rooms that no one was using. Um, Turn the heat off and shut the door. And your body will do the same thing. If you stop using certain parts of your body will tend to, hey, okay, well, that we don't need that wing. Let's shut it down. We'll focus on this other stuff. We're going to be the most efficient we can be. So it makes sense, but it's not good for us, right? We got to keep moving. We want to have everything open and in working order. We want the heat and the light and everything moving through this house that we have for our body. Okay, so then we're going to come out to the side. So we're on the edges of the feet, lifting that inner part. If you have unstable ankles, be careful with this. You don't want to go too far. But we're just trying to lift that center part of the foot, not the body. And then we're going to do it the opposite way. This is a lot of times harder. So press that big toe into the ground and then see what you can lift on the outer part. And you might step a little bit wider. That might make it easier for you too. And then we're up on the heels. And you might balance here. You might need to move around to keep your balance. Just see what you need to do. And then set the feet down. So anytime you want to do that, you can. It's not, it's easy and very accessible. So let's bring the legs wide, hands on the waist or hips. Take a deep breath. Fold forward. Hands come down onto the legs or onto the floor. Hands back, the waist rising up. Breath in and breath out. And then just walk the feet back together and we're going to come down to a seat. Soles of the feet together. Take a deep breath. Pull forward. Keep breathing. Moving back up. We're going to lower down. Take a few breaths. And then supported bridge. Got our block. Heels back, close to the body. Lifting up. Find a place that feels good and supported. Just relax. If you want to, you can bring the knees in or lift. Your choice just changes where the pressure is in this pose. Then set the feet back down, removing the block, resting on the mat. Keep breathing. And then bring the knees into the chest. You can rock a little side to side. Arms out to a T or goalpost arms, and lowering, knees to the right, gazing left. And then knees left, gaze right. Knees back to center. And then we're going to do happy baby. So reaching for the feet or the ankles and kind of drawing them apart. Keep breathing. Release the feet and extend the legs. Hands are by your side. And then when you're ready, you can lower, bringing legs down to the mat. Breathe and relax. And we're in Savasana, if you didn't know that already. Relaxing and breathing. You've got focus on what's happening right now in the body, the sensations that you feel. And finding peace and balance in our life is a goal. Um, if you find you are focused on one thing in your life to the neglect of everything else, that's not good, right? Um, and it can be a lot of things, right? Food is one of the things that we sometimes get hyper focused on. So if you feel like that's speaking to you, maybe let go of some of that. Maybe just um, move on, right? Um, Even something like trying to eat healthy can become an obsession, right? If we let it take over our life, take over our thoughts. So remember that all of these things have their place in our life. No one is more vital or important than all the rest. Um, and as always, if you have um, questions, if you aren't unsure of what path to take, look within. Try a little meditation. See what answers you get from there. When you're ready, beginning to move, fingers and toes, stretching if you feel like it, making your way up to a seat. Let's bring hands together for a deep breath in and out. Thank you for sharing yoga with me this morning. I hope that you have a very good Wednesday. Namaste. Okay, thanks. Hi, Ruth. I don't know if I said hi. All right, meditation, 5 minutes. Let's get in touch with what's happening today. See what we can find out in 5 minutes. 5 minutes, not 10. So we're sitting up tall, relaxed. Keep that peaceful state of mind. Breathe. Okay, we're back. So that, I think I could have gone longer than 5 minutes. It seemed like that was just a moment. But other times it really drags. So who knows? Okay, enjoy Wednesday. I will be back tomorrow.